Hi, my name's Will Brightling. I'm Managing Director of SaaStock, and I'm joined by David Appel of Sage Intacct, and we're going to talk about what's front of mind for European CFOs at the moment. So David, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is David Appel. I'm the head of the SaaS vertical here at Sage Intacct. We're the world's largest provider of software to the office of the CFO.
Awesome. And David, you just spent the last 2 hours speaking with 20 plus CFOs from across Europe. What are European CFOs thinking about at the moment? What's front of mind for these guys?
Let's talk about, there's three things. There's great community. They're first off looking for community. It's a lonely job. If they don't have the answers, they can't say that to the board. They can't say that to the CEO. So they came here because SaaStock's built a wonderful way of bringing people together to help each other out. The second thing is the markets are so uncertain, and they're trying to navigate through that uncertainty, through that fog of war. And what are the metrics to manage against? What are the outcomes should get to? How do I build consensus across our leadership team in order to get there?
Yeah.
Those are the topics we discussed today, and the feedback from everybody was they got a little bit more clarity, a little more relationships.
And you know what's really interesting is that we always presume that the founder is always the loneliest job, or the CEO is the loneliest job at the top. It's really interesting to hear that CFOs are they're striving for this peer-to-peer connection piece as well, right?
Well, what's going on right now is CEOs a lot of times are the outward facing. They're the positive ones about trying to build it. And then the CFOs are the ones trying to build the repeatable, durable business model, financial model underneath that, that's going to fund that or not. So it's sometimes a good cop, bad cop dynamic that needs to work with one another. That's what can create the isolation. But what's really going on, a customer of mine said this to me, David, I want to move from CFNo to CFGrow. And how I do that is when I have a lack of clarity as to what's happening in the business with the model, my answer to everything has to be no, because I have to take the conservative point of view to manage cash. But when I've got much greater visibility about what's going on and confidence and competence in our business model and the product market fit that we've got and the ability to forecast that out, that empowers me to be the CFGrow. So that's what people are looking for, is how to make that transition from CFNo to CFGrow. And again, SaaStock has this incredible model for bringing those types of people and community together to help each other out.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. You touched on something there, which is the role of the CFO is changing, and I think especially over the last 10 years, you've seen the transformation to the strategic CFO. What do you think is the next stage, the evolution for CFOs? What's next?
It's funny, people often ask me, David, what do you do? And I say, what I do is I ask people what they want, and then we build it. And I'm very proud to say that 71% of the market capitalization of US tech IPOs is on Sage Intacct. We have listened and learned and helped people go through these long growth models in order to get there. But what's the role of strategic CFO? And what have we learned? Because we're really trying to empower that person and their staffs in order to get there. They need I'm going to oversimplify the job to three things.
Yeah.
They need to understand the buyer's journey and how that translates into the cash flow and the cash position on the company, with money going in and money going out, and then being able to report and forecast against that.
Sure.
They need then to turn that into a narrative and a model that investors can see and understand and trust with what the metrics are doing and not doing. And then they need to build the team that's going to be able to automate, put all that together, and then share it with the other executive peers, so there's a shared consciousness of financial decisions and financial outcomes and risks and benefits in order to come through. So that's what we see happening, is the transformation of the strategic CFO.
And I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were discussing about how go-to-market teams are changing, or a lot of things like the incorporation of AI and all this kind of stuff. But how can a CFO get involved in the go-to-market side of the business? Because it's really important, right?
Companies exist to bring value to a set of customers in a way that produces enterprise value and investor return.
Yeah.
Oversimplification, and there's so many other things, societal value and employee growth, and I don't mean to leave anything out, just hard to put into a sentence. But what that needs is a repeatable, durable financial model. If we make this investment, what return do we think we're going to get? And the CFOs role in all that is to how do we build that financial model? What's our funnel look like? How big's the market? How many people do we think we can attract? And then have a discussion with us and then earn their business and keep them and grow that account over time.
Yeah.
That's the CFO's job to do that. But by leading then, product gets involved, the CTO, CPO, on, well, what are we going to build in order to address that? CMO, and how are we going to tell that story to the market? CRO, and how are we going to build a sales velocity curve to engage, and then customer success, and how do we deliver on the brand promise? All these people have this role in engaging the customer journey. The CFO is uniquely driving how the financial model comes across that, and the kind of the common language and that shared consciousness I was talking about earlier to driving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, what I guess, like, given that majority of your customers are in the US, right? And like
worldwide, UKI and Europe is amazing markets.
How are you seeing like the difference between CFOs maybe in, let's say, the States, things that they are thinking about, versus maybe in the UK or in Ireland or European markets? What are the differences?
Well, let's start. There's so much similar.
Yeah.
There's so much similar.
Yeah.
Those 3 points I made before. What's the model? What's the metrics? What's the team? Is there? It's a little bit of a friend of mine, investor of mine, said, everybody's labor for someone else's capital. So what is the capital the investor want, and the outcome of the business? That's somewhat different, and there's still, they want a rate of return.
Yeah.
Whatever the outcome's going to be through acquisition or have a liquidity event in the public markets.
Yeah.
Those are still common across. There's some unique cultural nuances to each country that everybody has. Is what makes the vibrant sense of community that comes across. But I'd stress, Will, more what's common across all those outcomes that people are driving for as opposed to the differences.
And it makes a lot of sense. And I think like one thing that we're obviously seeing, I think like it's been top of mind from a lot of like business leaders, not just in SaaS, but across the world, like multiple industries, is AI, and like how best to use AI and how best to incorporate AI into your business model. And I think from a CFO perspective, this is surely like it's quite a nice dream, because it can save costs and stuff like this. There's a lot of automation that can happen. It's a lot like increasing efficiencies. How are CFOs really thinking about AI though? Like, give us like, any kind of customer testimonials, any kind of customer insight into like what people are really thinking about how to build AI into your systems.
Well, I want to start with an investment thesis of part of one of our investors' working groups that I'm part of. Any business workflow can get decomposed into tasks, and then you can ask yourself, what are the most important material tasks in there, and then which of those absolutely does a person need to drive the outcome that's critical, like sales and talking to the client, versus what's something that's critical, like updating the account record and ensuring the quote's accurate, but necessarily a person doesn't necessarily want to do. And so you can decompose both of those in order to figure out what's a great model and then how big your TAM is and everything. For us, here's something that we've done.
Yep.
We've got 2.6 million customers worldwide. We did over 500 billion journal entries last year. We understand when a journal entry comes in, you want to tag it with departments and dimensions as to what makes it unique in order to track all that better. And you want to make sure it's accurate and consistent. So we built something called GL Outlier, General Ledger Outlier Detection, that looks at the historical trends of what have you put in, how to get tagged, how much were the amounts, and see if it meets the parameter of consistency over time. And when it does, it gets tagged as being valid. And then what this does, though, is makes your books are instantly closed. And your audit is clean. But when your books are closed, a lot of times startups have to wait 2 weeks, 30 days to close the books to make sure everything's valid. Our customers are doing it in like the day of the transaction and then within minutes of the close of the month. So then they've got a great financial package to forecast what the future looks like. And we had more time. I've got so many other use cases of all that. But the point of my investment thesis is that's a critical step, the financial close. But a human doesn't want to be going in and double checking every transaction. If you can get the patterns and the machine learning to do that for you, then it's a win for everybody.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot of that at the moment. I think also like a big a big trend is like the use of AI agents, and like what does that look like? I think like from a CFO's perspective, they're obviously always looking to, drive profitability and increase, like, obviously cash flow, manage cash flow, drive down costs as best as possible. But like, are you seeing in the States the uptake of AI agents? Is that something that's prevalent within the industry?
Well, yes, and a lot of the use cases are still getting figured out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places you could take this conversation. I'll simply say that the decision that we've made is we've announced at our user conference the concept of a co-pilot. And a co-pilot that's evaluating all your financial transactions, and you can ask questions of it in order to decide what do you think is the good use of cash and capital and business outcomes. And that's in beta, that's right now, and we're working through more what those use cases are, because when you're doing if you're asking it to like write an email through a marketing thing, if the outcome's not accurate,
Yeah.
If you're asking a future projection of cash flow, you gotta get it right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of edge cases, and so doing it. So that's just a microcosm of the example of agents are coming, but there's still so much to get sorted out. When ours comes out, we're really excited about the early milestones that we've hit, but when it comes out, make it right.
Definitely a really exciting time. I think like one other thing that's been kind of on my mind is like, let's say for a founder-led business, like when's the right time, like when would you say is the right time to hire a CFO, and how do you manage a CFO? Let's say if it's a founder-led business, because CFOs they come from a different world a lot of the time, right? They can come from a private equity world, or they come from more corporate industries. What advice, like when's the right time, and how do you manage that relationship, right?
There's a lot of answers to this question.
Yeah.
I'm going to share 3 of the most common answers that I've heard, but there's many. The first one is when the business has gotten too complex to track in your head and in a spreadsheet. A certain amount of sales transactions, revenue recognition schedules, accounts payable, cash going out. And so you want to move it out of the founder of just trying to manage it in a spreadsheet or simple basic accounting to something more complex. That's one.
Yeah.
The second one is when you need help packaging the story of what is our business model and what's the narrative and what's the financial metrics that reinforce that. Some CEOs can do that. Often they want to pull in somebody who's got that with good FP&A banking experience.
Yeah.
That's coming in the back end. The third is just volume. And the volume of transactions just require automation, but not just simple task management, but the thoughtfulness and how are we doing this in the context of ensuring we've built a durable, consistent, repeatable business model. Product market fit, leading to a consistent sales velocity curve with the right investments in order to pour gas on the fire, scale up. Those are 3 that I've seen.
So it's less about like, oh, we're at this level of revenue, now we need to hire a CFO. It's more about what's going on in the business, what pain are we experiencing, and what are what's kind of...
Revenue's a good milestone. Underneath that's the why.
Yeah.
And I'll simply say that the best founders I've seen do it have been the ones that have been proactive with good board guidance or good mentorship to do it before the house is on fire in order to put the right infrastructure in place, as opposed to being reactive and hiring too late, and then it becomes a mess, and there's a lot. It's that old ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Okay, awesome. Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.